Listen, George, I've learned something that means trouble.
What's wrong? Isn't the machine behaving? That was the worst contingency George could imagine. It might delay his return, and nothing could be more horrible. The way he felt now, even the sight of a TV commercial would seem like a manna from heaven. At least it would be some link with home.
No, it's nothing like that.
Chuck settled himself on the parapet, which was unusual because normally he was scared of the drop.
I've just found what all this is about.
What do you mean? I thought we knew.
Sure, we know what the monks are trying to do, but we didn't know why. Is the craziest thing.
Tell me something new.
But old Sam just come clean with me. You know the way he drops in every afternoon to watch the sheets roll out? Well, this time he seemed rather excited, or at least as near as he will ever get to it. When I told him that we were on the last cycle, he asked me in that cute English accent of his if I would ever wonder why they were trying to do this. I said, sure, and he told me.
Go on, I'll buy it.
Well, they believe that when they have listed all his names, and they reckon that there are about 9 billion of them, God's purpose will be achieved. The human race will have finished what it was created to do, and there won't be any point in carrying on. Indeed, the very idea is something like blasphemy.
Then what do they expect us to do? Huh? Commit suicide?
No, there's no need for that. When the list is completed, God steps in and simply winds things up. Bingo.
Oh, I get it. When we finish our job, it will be the end of the world.
That's just what I said to Sam. And do you know what happened? He looked at me in a very queer way, like I was dumb, and said, "It's nothing as trivial as that."
George took this over a moment. That's what I call taking the wide view, he said presently. But what do you think we should do about it, huh?
I don't see that it makes the slightest difference to us.
After all, we already knew that they were crazy.
Yes, but don't you see what may happen? When the list is complete and the last trump doesn't blow, or whatever it is that they expect, we may get the blame. It's our machine that they have been using. I don't like the situation one little bit.
I see. You've got a point there, but this sort of things have happened before, you know. When I was a kid down in Louisiana, we had a crackpot preacher who once said the world was going to end next Sunday. Hundreds of people believed him, even sold their homes. Yet when nothing happened, they didn't turn nasty, as you would expect. They just decided that he made a mistake in his calculation and went right on believing. I guess some of them still do.
Well, this isn't Louisiana, in case you hadn't noticed. They're just two of us and hundreds of these monks. I like them, and I'll be sorry for old Sam when his life work backfires on him. But all the time, I wish I was somewhere else.
I've been wishing that for weeks. But there's nothing we can do until the contract is finished and the transport arrives to fly us out.
Of course. But we could always try a bit of sabotage.
Like hell we could. That would make things worse.
Not the way I meant. Look at it like this. The machine will finish its run 4 days from now on the present 24 hours a day basis. The transport calls in a week. Okay. Then all we need to do is to find something that needs replacing during one of the overhaul periods. Something that will hold up the work for a couple of days. We'll fix it, of course, but not too quickly. If the time matters properly, we can be down at the airfield when the last name pops out of the register. They won't be able to catch us then.
I don't like it, said George. It will be the first time I ever walked out on a job. Besides, it would make them suspicious. No, I'll sit tight and take the comms. I still don't like it, he said 7 days later, as the tough little mountain ponies carried them down the winding road. And don't you think I'm running away because I'm afraid? I am just sorry for those poor old guys up there, and I don't want to be around when they find what suckers they have been. Wonder how Sam will take it. It's funny. But when I said goodbye, I got the idea he knew we were walking out on him. And that he didn't care because he knew the machine was running smoothly and that the job would soon be finished after that. Well, of course, for him, that just isn't any after that. George turned in his saddle and stared back up at the mountain road. This was the last place from which one could get a clear view of the Les Misery. The squat, angled buildings were silhouetted against the afterglow of the sunset. Here and there, lights gleamed like potholes in the area of an ocean liner. Electric lights, of course, sharing the same circuit as the Mark V. How much longer would they share it? Would the monks smash up the computer in their rage and disappointment? Or would they just sit down quietly and begin their calculations all over again? George knew exactly what was happening up on the mountain at this very moment. The High Lama and his assistants would be sitting in their silk robes, inspecting the sheets as the junior monks carried them away from the typewriters and tossed them into the great volumes. No one would be saying anything. The only sound would be the incessant patter, the never-ending rainstorm of the keys hitting the paper from the Mark V itself was utterly silent, as it was flashed through its thousands of calculations a second. 3 months of this, thought George, was enough to start anyone climbing up the wall.
There she is,
Chuck pointed down into the valley.
Ain't she beautiful?
She certainly was, thought George. The battered old DC-3 lay at the end of the runway, like a tiny silver cross. In 2 hours, she would be bearing them away from freedom and sanity. It was a thought worth savoring like a fine liquor. George let it roll around his mind as the pony tugged patiently down the slope. The swift night of the high Himalayas was now almost open them. Fortunately, the road was very good, as the road went in the region, and they were both carrying torches. There was not the slightest danger, only a sudden discomfort from the bitter cold. The sky overhead was perfectly clear and ablaze with the familiar friendly stars. At least there would be no risk, thought George, of the pilot being unable to take off because of the weather conditions. That had been his only remaining worry.